Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 108, recording on Sunday, June 9th, 2022. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And we will be talking about the Sony State of Play for June 2022, leading into what is typically E3 time. We're going to get a lot of press conferences coming up, Summer Game Fest, lots of news. It's generally the most exciting time in video games. The question is the blue haze in full effect? We got what we wanted. Sony beat other people to the punch this year. There's always this race of who's going to show their videos first, wow people. The equivalent today of winning E3. Did Sony have what it takes? I'm biased. We know that. I don't know about you guys, but let's just go through.
You are wearing a blue shirt, so I can only assume you were a fan, but
it was color coordinated. It was an intentional choice. I'm like, well, it's blue haze. We got to wear this. But leading off the show, which I did see speculated out there in the world, was a Resident Evil 4 remake, which, as far as I know, was it rumor or official that this was happening already?
I thought it was official.
So did I, but
I imagined it. But
I don't officially know it's official.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys.
And it's coming to PlayStation 5 on March 24th, 2023. So less than a year away. That's pretty good. As we know, these dates mean absolutely nothing at this point in time. I believe nothing that I see in this presentation unless it's in the next few months. And it looked pretty good. Perhaps a little underwhelming to me. Obviously, with the HD remakes for 2 and 3, you know, the distance between the original versions and the technology is such a big deal. And having HD versions of RE4 and Oculus versions, like, it looks good. I'm excited for it. I love the HD remakes of Resident Evil games, but maybe a little less underwhelming compared to the others. But Sean, this is your favorite game of all time. You've said it a million times.
Not entirely true, but
you say Resident Evil is your favorite franchise, yet this is the only Resident Evil game you've actually played and beaten, I think, in history. You have not played the Oculus version. Sean, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Buy and not play, or buy and play? Because we know you're going to buy.
Slight correction.
Will you actually play it?
Slight correction there. I've played and beat 4, 5, and Village.
I guess I should know that. We beat 5 together. So technically, yeah. I beat 5 for you, I think, is how that worked.
Well, maybe. But yeah, I'm going to once again sound like a non-Resident Evil fan here and say, not really moving my needle. I mean, and part of it, you already just said it. Like, if I was going to play Resident Evil 4 again in the near future, I would much rather play the VR version. I don't know that this is that interesting to me. They've kind of hit that point where, you know, I feel like Resident Evil 4 isn't that old of a game. It doesn't, you know, need to be fully remastered, but, you know, I guess they're just going to keep, you know, 2 and 3 did pretty well. Like, it makes sense. They're just going to keep following that as long as people buy them. So I get it.
I mean, I would suspect really 5 would not happen. It'd be more likely after that to get RE0 or Code Veronica or something like that.
Right, yeah. That makes sense.
I mean, RE4 is pretty old. It's GameCube. Like, PS2 GameCube, is it not? Like, that's pretty old.
But I mean, it was
the biggest difference is not necessarily technology. I kind of misspoke there, but for 2 and 3, it was a different camera perspective. It was like tank controls.
Exactly.
Where RE4, at least, maybe not technology, but where game design was at with third-person cameras, it's not a huge shift in gameplay and reimagining of the game, I would think. But to be honest, I just scanned the trailer again. I'm like, why didn't I care about this? Like, I should care about this game a year away. There's not a lot in what they showed. It's like a lot of still cameras, almost zero gameplay.
It's really hard to tell what is gameplay and what is just CG. And even like the things that could be gameplay aren't really much. It's like that woman kind of like walking through the woods and then Leon walking up to like a house. And those could be CG. I mean, it looks good, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it was I guess a kind of big way to start off the show, but not that big of a deal to me, to be honest. So I don't have anything else to say. Anyone else before we move on?
Nope.
I just want to say, like, it did seem weird that they didn't show more gameplay. Like, there are some, iconic parts to that game, and you'd figure you'd want to sort of show those off, and, like, they didn't even show the, like, what are you buying guy? Like, you'd figure that would be, like, a thing you want to show, like, right away. Like, you should almost open it with, like, what are you buying? And then show all the stuff. Like, you'd think that would kick it off perfectly, but I don't know. It seemed like a weird launch trailer or announcement trailer.
Yeah, I guess it did feel more like an announcement trailer, so maybe it wasn't officially announced. I don't know, but
I agree with Huck. A year away, like the part in the lake or something like that, a showpiece moment, it could have been featured pretty heavily and showing gameplay. We have no idea.
Less than a year, right? It's March, so it's 9 months away. Like, that's not very much time to be like adding new stuff. Like, it should be almost complete by now.
Pencil it in. Or we should start taking bets on the delay.
Delay?
Yep. Okay, next. Actually, let me see if this is the same order here. Okay, so it continued. It was teased that this was going to be PSVR 3 games, I believe, they were going to talk about, possibly 4. 4, pardon me. And we were saying, are we actually going to see the hardware for PSVR 2 and get a release date for that? Might be a little embedded message in some of these release dates that people are speculating about. But we saw that Resident Evil 8 Village is getting a VR version coming to PSVR 2. I wonder how much more it's going to cost. I feel like they thought we can kind of double dip on the cost with some of this stuff with VR, and especially my guess would be the VR version will only work on next gen hardware, where the actual game would play on both. So it's going to be a different it's not going to be the same game, I doubt. I think it's going to be a different VR version.
Hang on. Have they announced that PSVR 2 is going to work on PS4?
No, I'm saying the opposite. Like, Resident Evil Village worked on PS4 and PS5. But I'm guessing the VR version or PSVR 2 version of Village will not work on PS4. So it's like, in terms of performance, it's only going to run on PS5. I mean, it might be a different SKU, like an executable, who knows? But I think that's another reason why they separated it out, like making it a different game.
And you're saying that it also is not just like, a $20 upgrade to the current
or free
or something.
Like, people would have expected it was free, right? If they announced it originally, because that's how 7 shipped. Like, it was either VR or just controller, whatever you preferred. So I think we can make more money off this VR version, and gave them more time to work on that too. So it makes sense. And then, but in terms of let's just kind of group the VR announcements together. There was Walking Dead Retribution, which is like a season 2, I think, of Saints and Sinners. Now, this I don't know that much about, but I believe, isn't it just like an update or DLC to Saints and Sinners on Oculus, or is it a completely different game?
I feel like I've heard. Was this game? I think this game was announced maybe
that
already.
Was like the Quest showcase. Yeah,
yeah, and it seemed like it was being framed as like a full sequel. So that's kind of the impression I got. But it is weird that it's just called Chapter 2. That could be a bit misleading, maybe.
Okay, and then No Man's Sky VR coming to PSVR 2, which again is a little weird because it's already been VR on other things. Is it going to be a new version you have to buy? Actually, I think it was, yes, Huck's a note here. Thank you, Huck. Retribution is scheduled for 2022, and in the PlayStation State of Play, it said it's coming out in 2022. So that would not surprise me. I mean, people are probably speculating PSVR 2 is coming out in 2022. I'm not so sure. I think you could also interpret, based on like those Walking Dead games run on Oculus, that might be shipping on just original PlayStation VR as well in 2022.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've already said that it's coming 2022. They just haven't given an official date.
Right, but this date is embedded in a state of play for Sony, so I'm sure it's coming out on Oculus in 2022, but, you know.
Yeah, that was surprising to see, since none of the other games had dates, which are PSVR 2 exclusives, I would assume.
Yes, so I don't know if it was just a canned trailer. My guess is that the PS4 version is coming for sure in 2022. And then whether it'll be a free upgrade to the PS5 version, I would assume it is. Those Walking Dead games, up until this one that we're debating, have been really good about giving you free content, update patches, and stuff like that, and not charging for it. So I assume it's just going to be a free upgrade to the PSVR 2 version eventually.
I must say, though, before we leave the VR section, that the visual quality of Resident Evil, Forbidden West, and No Man's Sky is extremely high for VR. You could kind of notice with like Retribution, it wasn't quite as high, it wasn't quite as good looking. Like you could tell they're trying to go multi-platform and obviously can't go as crazy. And you could tell, at least assuming that the other games were captured in VR on the actual hardware, or something relatively the same to it, that PSVR 2 is going to have some serious power behind it. And the Resident Evil trailer, I couldn't really tell, other than like the floating hands, I couldn't really tell the difference between what I remember Village looking like running on a PS5 and what we were seeing in that video, which is really quite an accomplishment, because if it's actually running at 60 or 90, I guess 90 probably, or 120 if they could get it up that high, that's going to be pretty incredible to have that level of fidelity and running at that high frame rate.
Yeah, so it looked good. Really let's get the name right. The Horizon VR is Call of the Mountain, not Forbidden West. We've got this branding thing where each Horizon property gets a different name. So I think that looks good. But in general, every one of these VR games, except for maybe Village, but I expected that to some degree. Like, no surprises here at all, right?
Yeah, no. And just, I don't know if Sony officially announced this. I think they did, but they a week or two ago said, hey, we're going to have over 20 launch titles for PSVR 2. But if now we're seeing okay, so we're counting No Man's Sky, which has already been out on VR, Resident Evil Village, which, okay, but it's a game that's already been out. So it's taking away a little bit from that, wow, 20 launch titles. Okay, well, 10 of those are probably already out or something,
Yeah. I'm a little concerned at this point, not going to lie. Not a lot to get excited about at this point. My guess would be there's going to be a remastered version of Iron Man VR 2. How many of those 20 launch titles are going to be just upgrades, free upgrades of existing PSVR games?
Yeah. But Horizon would probably have been the standout, in my opinion, just because it is a brand new VR specific game. It looked pretty cool, I thought.
I'm with you about having a first-person embedded perspective into that world, and obviously they have assets for all the different creatures, and even just thinking back to the Battlefront menu, where an AT-AT walks over you, and what that feels like. That world is perfect for that. But the gameplay itself looked kind of lame to me. It was grabbing onto ledges and climbing. It almost felt like bad versions of the climb. And was it called Robinson? One of those early VR games? It felt really similar to that. And I remember trying that briefly and not thinking it was all that great. So obviously there's bow and arrow mechanics, stuff you'd expect. But the gameplay they showed in that trailer, it felt more like an interactive story or tech demo than a game, which is fine. A lot of VR is successful at doing that stuff, but when I saw the jumping a gap and grabbing onto a ledge, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Yeah, the sort of interactive cinematic type thing is kind of the vibe I was getting as well, but I think bow and arrow mechanics work well in VR. I think this will be, a pretty solid game.
I hope so. That would be the game I'd be looking forward to the most on VR.
I would say that if Sony really wanted to like hit a home run with VR2, you go and you throw money at Valve and you get Half-Life Alyx on PSVR 2.
I'm expecting that to come. I mean, I don't see how that wouldn't happen. That's got to happen. So
yeah,
you think
that's one of the biggest VR games to date. They need that in their.
There was such a like. One of the motivations for building a PC was so that I could play that game and actually not play it. So, I mean, there's lots of people who want to play Half-Life Alyx. So I agree with Huck. That's a good point. You got to get the cash out there for that. Next, a surprise announcement, I'd say, but I mean, any PlayStation exclusive coming to PC that's over 2 or 3 years old, not that surprising these days. Spider-Man Remastered coming to PC soon, August 12th, 2022. Not a needle mover for me. Means nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's super exciting for anyone who doesn't have PS4 or PS5. And I think was Miles Morales part of that, or is that just
they did not
assuming?
Say they did not. Yeah, people are like, "Where's Miles Morales?" So I would not be surprised if they just release it later at a lower price. Would be my guess.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's just, I mean, I've already played it. And it's
a little weird because there's been all the speculation about Returnal coming to leaks about Returnal coming to PC, and that's what I thought it was going to be when it had that. But then the Insomniac logo played. But I mean, Returnal's a tough one. Maybe I'm missing something obvious here. But the dual sense, like half hold down of the controller, like that's going to be tough to pull off on PC. If you don't have that controller, I'm trying to think of an equivalent that you could do.
Yeah, I haven't played it to know exactly what it feels like, but I know that was definitely touted as a pretty unique thing for Returnal and DualSense controllers. So yeah, that could be an issue maybe.
Okay, anyone else have anything to say about that? I highly doubt it. Finally, Sean, the game you were highly anticipating, Stray, is finally coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 July 19th, very soon. And part of the announcement was it's going to be part of, I don't even know the naming, but one of the tiers of the new PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, so it's not the lower tier, right? It's like the one that comes with the PS4, PS5 game library, right? Which makes me think like...
I feel like I have to take this shirt off. I don't know these names yet. I don't have the tiers memorized. Like, I'm an embarrassment.
What a poser.
To the Blue Haze Nation.
Are you officially subscribed to these higher tiers, or...
I don't think you can do it yet in North America, can you?
Oh, maybe not. What was the launch? I thought it was like June. Yeah, it's probably not out yet, but I think it's like next week or something, right?
Oh, really? Sweet. Yeah, I'm in. I don't know anything about it. I will buy the highest tier immediately.
Yeah, but that's a little weird to me because now I'm like thinking, like, is PlayStation Plus not going to be delivering good game? I mean, it's already been not the best games over the last little while, but like...
And also with the speculation with... never mind. I was about to say something really dumb, and I'm not going to continue with what I'm saying. Like, I was basically not understanding how Game Pass works. It was truly embarrassing. But, yeah, I mean, Stray, it looks great. It's a cool idea. Love the art style. I don't know how good of a game this is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely still hard to, like, I don't really know what the game is. I will admit that. I just knew that this was something that was supposed to be out in the spring. Still, they delayed it a bit, so I was kind of expecting it this summer. But and obviously, I do like the cyberpunk setting. It looks very nice. I'm hoping it'll be a kind of a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of like a puzzle platformer type thing. Maybe not a platformer, but like a puzzle game with like some stealth mechanics.
Yeah, an adventure puzzle.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
There's some kind of dialogue system where it's translating between robots and cats. Cool. Not sure if it's any fun.
So just the date for the new PlayStation Plus stuff in North and South America is June 13th.
Next week.
Beautiful. A week from when you're listening to this. So the next one, speaking of me feeling dumb, this was the best or most impressive thing shown at the State of Play for me. And it's the Callisto project, the Callisto Protocol. And I felt really dumb because I'm watching this trailer and I'm like, is this the Dead Space remake? Is this Dead Space 4? And we've heard of the Callisto Protocol before. Like, it's been announced. It's some of the people, including like the director of the original Dead Space, I believe, that started this team, and it's just basically making a spiritual successor, including the character has UI elements embedded on their body. Like, all the Dead Space cues are there, but I felt really dumb that I didn't know it was going to be Callisto Project or Protocol. Why do I always call it Project? Either way, kind of cool. Coming out this year, as of right now, December 2nd, 2022. So I thought this looked great. I love Dead Space. I didn't beat Dead Space 3, but I love the other ones, especially the original. So the only thing that didn't feel that Dead Spacey to me in terms of this trailer is one of the best parts of Dead Space is the weapon slicing and dismemberment. Wasn't getting a system comparable to that I saw in this trailer. I'm hoping it's there in some form, but I thought this looked great, had great mood and atmosphere, and I'm pretty pumped for this game. What about you guys?
It looked pretty incredible lighting wise and graphical wise, but like that health bar, I can see why you would totally confuse it with Dead Space, because it is literally the Dead Space health bar just turned on its side and on his neck instead of on his back. And it's even, I'm pretty sure, like the exact same color green. Like, it almost looked identical.
I mean, camera perspective is almost identical.
Yeah.
Player silhouette. I mean, I saw some comments.
Even like the walk cycle, like it's
when it was live, like this is dangerously close to litigatable. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't even think that's possible, to be honest. But
yeah, I don't think so either. But I thought it looked really nice. It's going to be probably pretty freaky, just like the original Dead Space, except ramped up. We're starting to get into like
those like close moments where the character was interacting with or a face turned and looked at you on a close camera perspective. It was really cool.
I think they had some sort of like death camera shots that they showed, because I think there was one where like literally an enemy like bites your face off kind of thing. So I'm assuming those are like kind of like the Tomb Raider-esque, death shots that you could get. But what do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I'm excited, and I also, for most of the trailer, thought I was watching a trailer for the Dead Space remake, but then I was like, well, this doesn't look that familiar to me. I'm not seeing the dismemberment thing. Like, what's going on here? And I didn't clue in until the title came up either. But interesting, the release date. December 2nd. That feels like you absolutely got to get it in 2022, but you're giving yourself as much time as you possibly can. And now I'm looking and I'm realizing Dead Space Remake comes out January 2023. So I think that's why they're rushing to get it out for that date. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
That makes a lot of sense.
Watch Dead Space move up. It's to November.
I predict they both move back. I don't know which one's going to be first. Once they both get delayed.
Yeah, who's going to blink?
The next game was Roller Dome. It looks. I don't know if it's multiplayer. It's from the creators of Ollie Ollie World. It's kind of like this roller derby shooting game, almost like a Twisted Metal roller derby. It looks like art style similar to Sable, and even a game. I didn't work on it, but like Auto Age, it reminded me of that Phantom Compass made.
Extremely similar, like color palette.
Yeah,
to Sable and Auto Age.
So it comes out August 16th. This feels like it may be a PlayStation Plus game, and August. I'm going to make that call right now, but I never heard of this game before. Wasn't doing much for me. There's potential if the gameplay is good, but as a premise and first look, not something I'm going to rush out to buy unless reviews are great.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look, but yeah, as you guys have said, it has been done a few times before. I was excited.
Right,
I was kind
of feels
of
like there's I know it's Ollie Ollie world, but a Tony Hawk angle too. Like I feel like some of the camera perspective is like, what if we combined Tony Hawk with some kind of shooting mechanic?
Yeah. And I was excited, I guess. At first I thought maybe it was like an actual, there was a story. It was like an action adventure game. And I was like, oh, this seems really cool. But then I realized, oh no, it's more of like a multiplayer game.
Did you look that up? Because I still wasn't sure about that.
I'm not 100% sure, but like it seems to be, mentioning. Well,
it says a battler. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it does mention like fighting enemies as opposed to other players. So maybe you're right. I don't know. But I guess that's what I'm still a bit confused about. It seems like more of a sports game than like a story based, third person action game. So
I thought it was just like an arena.
A Twisted Metal. I think it's going to be like probably start with a single player campaign with a light multiplayer.
Yeah. Also not really moving my needle at all.
Okay, next, Eternites, a action game / dating sim with some RPG elements. I don't know. I really liked the color palette and art style of this game, and the like all action games now with the effects they can do and animations, like they all look good. It really comes down to a question if they control good. Even the action games that got terrible reviews this year looked decent. Like it's not hard to pull off mechanics that look great. The question is, how do they play? But this one, I'm not like a dating sim player really. You guys seem to be more into the visual novel type aspect. Like, does a hybrid like this appeal to you? What do you guys think?
This kind of reminded me a bit of like a Persona game, except instead of going like turn-based RPG, it went more action RPG. So I'm hoping that's what it is. More like I hope it's. I mean, Persona, there's a ton of talking, but at least it's pretty interesting. When they are saying things, it's not just talking for the sake of talking. Whereas I hope this game is more like Persona and less like other games where there's just blabbering on. But I thought it looked pretty interesting. It's definitely anime style. It's probably going to have a lot of anime tropes in it. So that's not totally my thing all the time, but it's on my radar now at least. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it seems like it's more of a Huck thing than anybody, but I mean, I thought it looked really cool. Like I don't know, I'm even just watching like some clips now, and like the lighting and stuff looks really cool. Like I don't know, I like games that mash up different genres, and so I'm kind of curious. But I mean, my first thought is it's probably not something I'd be into.
Yeah, there is potential though for sure. That one I don't know the developer of, if it's anyone notable.
Yeah, I don't recall it either.
Okay.
Studio Psy. I don't know if they've done anything else.
So up next is probably, for most people, the biggest surprise and biggest game announced at the State of Play. Although I saw a lot of rumors about it right before, and I'm like, okay, so it didn't surprise me at all because everyone was talking about it, at least in the chat before the show. And it's Street Fighter 6. Is there a subtitle for this game?
I don't think so.
Think so.
Street Fighter 6. Now, it appeared the biggest thing here is that they're showing off what looks like a single player campaign where you,
like some sort of open world thing,
probably comparable to how Mortal Kombat and the other like Injustice games have these story modes, where this one is more like building a character, and it had a actual what looked like a very bad platforming open world element to it. So I don't know how the Street Fighter heads out there are reacting to the combat itself. I'm not that big into Street Fighter. It looked like what I would expect, a marginal upgrade to Street Fighter with a slightly different effect system and graphical style. Not that different, to be honest, compared to how 4 was a huge leap from 3. This doesn't feel like that, like an equivalency of that type of leap. It feels like a modification in terms of style, but I gotta be honest, I did not think it looked that good. They weren't showing a lot of fighters. I know it's coming out 2023, which I think people are excited about, but the hyper combos or whatever they look decent, kind of neat, but it's not something that's gonna be like, wow, this is the Street Fighter I'm gonna play this time. It kind of feels like more of the same. Even though I say that for every Street Fighter, now that I'm the age that I am, I'm officially given up on getting good at Street Fighter or any fighting games. And this, there was potential for me to trick myself again if it looked really good. Like, this is the one. It's going to happen this time. But it's definitely not going to be for that trailer I saw a couple days ago.
I actually liked the trailer. Like, I thought it was a cool trailer, and I thought visually it looked impressive. I mean, I don't think I even played the last Street Fighter at all, so I can't, comparison-wise, I'm not sure. But, I mean, these games, because they're fighting games and, you just have, two characters in an environment for the most part, like, you can really amp up the visuals, which, I think it looks like that. I am kind of intrigued about whatever the campaign thing is. I'm guessing it's not going to be that amazing, but I don't know. It could be something to set it apart a little bit.
But as far as I can tell here, Street Fighter 6 is coming to PlayStation 4 as well. So that, upgrade in technology is not going to be that prominent.
Yeah, they're using the RE engine, apparently. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it looked good. It's just, I'm not a big fighting game guy to begin with. So you're going to have to give me a little something extra to get me interested, probably.
And that could have been the open world idea or campaign, but like, am I alone there? That looked really bad.
It didn't look great, but yeah, it was just more the idea of it. I was like, okay, maybe there's something there.
Like the way the control and camera was, like, it felt like a Wii game, like No More Heroes or something like that.
It kind of reminded me of Sleeping Dogs. Just like the way you control. I thought it was going to be kind of like that, where there are actually fights in the world, like in Sleeping Dogs. But and that was before I knew it was a Street Fighter game. Once I knew it was a Street Fighter game, I was like, I don't know what that open world part was then. Like, was that just something they threw in there for fun? Because that's not really what Street Fighter is. But I'm with you guys. Not a Street Fighter guy. The last Street Fighter game I bought was Street Fighter 4 just because the art style was so incredible. I don't even think I played it more than like 3 matches. I accidentally turned on online mode the first time I played it and just got absolutely slaughtered. And I was like, well, I'm done. I'm out.
Just a side note with fighting games. When we worked at Silicon Knights, at least the people I worked with, that's all they did was play Street Fighter every lunch, after work. And you just at a point where you're like, I'm never going to be, like, I'm already so far behind. I don't even know how anyone can be good at this. And it's, the barrier to entry is ridiculous, especially for playing against other people. And even when I used to play Street Fighter games on my own, the difficulties, like the way the opponents block and do stuff, it's like, forget it, I'm done.
Just set it on easy. That's the only way to play.
Yeah, and then it's too easy. Like, the difficulty and AI of those fighting games is bad.
Yeah, I guess the one thing that is still, for me, could be fun about these games is if you have a bunch of friends over, all of whom are not fighting game people, and you just, have a night of everybody trying to beat the crap out of each other. That can be fun, but
even in a situation like that, I'd probably be more inclined to play Smash Brothers or something where multiple people can play at once.
That's true, yeah.
Either way, there's a lot of hardcore Street Fighter players out there. I'm sure they are very excited about this. I am not.
Yeah, Junkers need to, jump in the Discord and
tell me
give us the real deal. Give us the Street Fighter deal.
No one. I feel like the gap between fighting games is getting bigger. Like, there's people who love fighting games, that's all they play, and other people are just like, I'm out. I very rarely hear of someone that's like, oh, I play a little Street Fighter here and there. Or,
Yeah, that's
like when I was a kid,
Dabble.
it was the opposite. Like, everyone had Street Fighter, whether you were good, whether you were shit. It was just a game everyone bought. I don't think that happens much anymore. And that audience a lot of it has gone to Smash Brothers, especially for kids. But I'm also sure it's huge in Japan as well. So I think it's a much bigger deal there. Speaking of not excited, Tunic coming to PlayStation on September 27th. Not a big surprise. I don't remember hearing any exclusivity, like permanent exclusivity stuff with that game. So we will be getting a version of that game in the near future. I'm glad I didn't play it yet. I will wait for PlayStation to finish it. Next, Season, A Letter to the Future, which I believe we've heard about this game before. I know I've seen it at some point. And it's kind of an indie game where it's adventure. A lot of games are like this now, like a unique art style with photography elements and storytelling. I do like the look of the game. In particular, I think I mentioned this last time we saw it, the camera perspective and the framing I thought looked awesome. It's got a very unique framing, almost like a panoramic widescreen framing for the like traditional traversal and locomotion. So I think like there's potential here. I know Falsk on the Discord server, she said like this is her most anticipated game of the year. So I'm sure like I know she loves Life is Strange. Like people, this is probably appealing to like a casual gamer market that are into those kind of interactive stories. I just feel like there's a lot of games coming out like that, like more so than ever, where a game like this would have stood out in the past. It's like, oh, this is really different. There's a lot of games like this now, even more cartoonish ones like Toem, and there was it Alba or on iPhone that came to PlayStation? Like I feel like what used to be unique about these has also become kind of saturated.
Yeah, I agree. And like, I guess the thing that maybe is a bit different about this one, like I feel like the other photography based games are usually more kind of like collectible, like, you know, Pokemon Snap, like, you know, try and get pictures of as many creatures as you can or something like that. Whereas it seems like this is more story based and the camera is just like how you're investigating this mystery or something. Yeah,
I mean, the way the trailer was told, there was like this narrative, like someone telling a story about the protagonist and like how it fills in these gaps with the photography. Like there could be an interesting narrative structure there. I don't know if I got that other than the structure of the trailer at this point, but I mean, it looked okay. I think there are people that are hyped about this game, but it comes out this autumn, I believe it said.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what to think about this game because, like you guys, I think the art style is interesting, but like gameplay wise, it looks like not even that interesting. It looks like a lot of the movement they showed was on the bike, traveling in a straight line. Like, do you even control that bike? I don't know. Like, maybe that's on rails. Like, that's how straight everything was. And like even the like video stuff, it wasn't clear what you actually do during the like photography or the video aspects of it. So I'm a little hesitant because I don't really know what the game is.
I mean, to make a comparison or like to where I'm at, with you, what you're saying, like Life is Strange as a comparable game. I haven't played the second, but I mean the first and the second both have like hook mechanics, so to speak, like the rewind idea for solving puzzles. That's like, oh, this hasn't been done before, and the aura stuff in the second one. So, like, I'm with you, Huck. I don't know what the gameplay loop is or how you solve puzzles or to what end you use the photo. So, I mean, if they pull that off, there's a lot of potential. So
there's a lot of neat environments. So I mean, the potential for like a neat adventure is there. It's just like, is it going to be like a 10-hour slog or is it going to be like a 2-hour quick pace little story? Like, I don't know. what it's
Yeah,
gonna
and
be.
I mean, I have to be honest at this point. So many games have come out like this, Sable included, and I'm struggling to think of all of them that had great art styles. They're featured in these videos. They're indie games that are like, they get a lot of exposure. And other than Tunic and Death's Door, I can't remember one that like met the expectations of those visual trailers, like in terms of gameplay. It feels like it doesn't happen much anymore. They come out and they tend to get like 6s and 7s, and they look great, but gameplay wise, not really breaking any barriers.
Yeah, I don't know if like they all kind of fall into the walking simulator category, but they're definitely story-based games where you're just kind of making choices, a lot of dialogue. Like, you know, I'm thinking games like that Lake game, Hitchhiker.
What was the one about the road?
Road
like,
96, I think. Yeah, like all those kind of games seem very similar.
Even 12 minutes to some degree, like that was along those lines, and really hyped up with the voice acting. And I just feel like a game like this has not delivered in a long time. The way that, you know, what Remains of Edith Finch delivered, like gameplay wise on that stuff. So, there was one that was it a call, the first person one that was on Game Pass.
Call of the Sea.
Was it Call of the Sea? Okay, yeah, that one kind of came and went as well. So
I really liked Virginia, but it was also one that kind of fell under the radar, I think.
yeah, I've been meaning to go back and try that one too. Okay, and lastly, not new, but some new footage of Final Fantasy 16. And I believe it said it's coming out in 2023, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Summer 2023. And I mean, it's sorry. I'm just scrubbing it here. It was kind of surprising to me. First of all, as expected, the like particle systems, the effects look incredible, and the lighting. Mm-hmm. Like that stuff looks absolutely amazing on all the summons. Really impressive. The visual fidelity of this game. But like the focus on summons, like it's almost like, and they only really showed, from what I could see, one character, and it looked more like an action game than an RPG, even more so than Final Fantasy VII Remake. So it almost seems like you play as one person, and summons are going to be a huge role in how you do combat.
That was similar to Final Fantasy 15, though.
Was 15, it? Okay.
Yeah, you played as whatever the lead character was, and you had like your three
There was
dudes.
a party, right? Like you would switch. Yeah. Like I didn't see any character switching at all in this trailer.
I don't think you could switch, but they were with you.
Okay, maybe I just didn't notice, but for sure, like I played a bit of Final Fantasy 15, and you know, there's like the grappling thing. You could go on top of things, and they've definitely shifted to an action based approach. But I thought it looked good. I've always been a fan. Well, Huck, you are the Final Fantasy fan, the number one game of all time, as recommended on Steam. Final Fantasy IV. Where are you at with this?
I was a little confused, like you said, with the Esper thing. I mean, they seem to have like Espers battling, because there's some screenshots where there's like two Esper names in each corner, and they seem to be taking damage off each other. So that is a little weird. It's almost like you are fighting someone with a Esper as well. It's not just you with them. But then there was also some scenes with like massive battles, and I'm like, well, how are they going to do that? Is that even a thing? Is that just a cutscene? Are they actually going to have some sort of, you know, big battle that you have to go into? I don't think there was any gameplay where you were like running through a field with that sort of stuff, but I thought it looked incredible, like you were saying, with the action parts and all the effects. And then, yeah, it just kind of went Esper crazy at the end. And I don't really know. I mean, you know, Final Fantasy trailers do this a lot, where they just kind of like throw a ton of shit at you that you don't really know what's going on, and then the game comes out and it usually, you know, does a decent job of tying it all together and kind of making it into a story that makes sense, or, you know, kind of makes sense.
I mean,
It's
I
not
was
just-
I was looking at Final Fantasy stuff a couple days ago, and I really have a lot of respect for how Final Fantasy games always reinvent the wheel. It's like new characters, new world. They've gotten into doing sequels a bit, but it's like, no, we're going to do something completely different. Throw all that away. It's a new story, new location, new mechanics. And I mean, that's tough to do when your games are successful, to just throw all that away. So I really respect that. And especially
And in a lot of Final Fantasy games, they have basically like throwaway mechanics. Like
Yeah.
you'll do them like 1 or 2 times and that's it. And then it's
Yeah.
gone. Like,
So-
very unique.
even Final Fantasy VII Remake, I remember playing the demo, and in that brief demo being like, I don't know if this is any good. Like, but then once you keep playing it, it really grows on you. So I kind of trust them at this point to try something new and do it well. Even I appreciated like the more auto combat, like Final Fantasy 13 stuff that traditional fans hated at one point. I think they've come around on some of that stuff too. They
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think so.
they feel like steps and evolutions in ideas. So I'm interested to see where this goes and what role summons play. But I was also thinking, when are we going to hear anything about Remake 7 Part 2 or the next part of that? Like that,
Never.
I
5
thought
years
that
from
was.
now, bud.
I thought that was coming for sure. Like, I know I joke about this. I'm literally going to be dead by the time I finish the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, it's not going to happen.
I don't know. Did you finish? You finished the first game, right? Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I mean, they could take
I'm
it
hard. I
a completely
got the
different.
platinum trophy, which I don't think you did.
No, not yet. It's on my list. But I mean, they could take that game a whole bunch of different ways now. They don't have to just follow.
But it's weird to me that they're not showing anything, because it's the opposite of Final Fantasy 16. They have all the assets. Like, how hard would it be to like pick a section of where they're going next and just tease it? So definitely concerned.
I mean, maybe they just don't want to overshadow 16 until 16's out. You won't hear anything.
Well, you also don't want to like drops a little tease and then not have the game come out for 4 years.
Well, it's probably going to happen anyway. But
I think you're right, Huck, and that's why I'd be more concerned not seeing anything yet. Okay, so once we see stuff, it's still going to be at least 2 years. So what is the timeline? I feel like more people are going to be asking questions like, when are we going to see the end of this remake? And like, is it going to be on a 3-generation console from now? Like, it's kind of fucked. Let's be honest.
It could be like what Sean was saying. Like maybe Square Enix has a plan, release 16 in summer 2023, then do remake part 2 like 2025 summer.
Yeah, what a plan.
Like 2 years apart. Well, I mean, if you're going to make a shit ton of money from either one, you don't want to like have them right back to back and then have nothing for like 10 years.
Have they said whether Final Fantasy VII? I know it's exclusive on Epic Store right now. Is it scheduled? Do you think for Steam as well? It must be, and Xbox, right? Like, it's going to come to Xbox at some point too.
Well, I'm sure Epic paid a bunch to get that exclusivity deal after it ended its Sony exclusivity deal.
Right, but even on Xbox, I think Epic just has PC exclusivity. And I don't know how long the PlayStation exclusivity is, but that's going to come to Xbox at some point too. Maybe, is it already? And I'm just really stupid.
No, it's not. No.
Because I kind of want to replay it, and I'm waiting for a version to do that. Okay. Anyway, looks good. Not a whole lot new there, though, to be honest. So overall, this state of play was a wet noodle for me. Like, I'm Blue Haze all the way, but I was like, this is your big summer showcase with everyone else doing, I'm assuming, E3 caliber type presentations. No God of War, no surprise games that we haven't heard of yet. Now, of course, they can do another one later on, but I was thoroughly disappointed. How about you guys?
Definitely underwhelmed. Maybe disappointed. I don't know what I really expected, but I mean, the PSVR 2 I'm excited about, but I was hoping that they would at least be showing off the hardware or something at this point. So Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are we doing letter grades for this thing or what?
Yeah, Huck, anything to say before we give our letter grades?
Have they? Do you see? I can't really like talk about this, but have they announced any PSVR 2 details officially?
Yeah, there's been a lot of like, this is what the specs are going to be and stuff like that. They just haven't shown off. Oh no, they did show what the headset looks like, right? I think. Pretty sure they have.
I know the hand controllers they have.
Maybe it was just the hand controllers. I don't remember now. So
I have this feeling like Sony thought that. I mean, maybe it has, but I think they thought that the Resident Evil 4 remake would be a big hit, and the Street Fighter 6, because those are really the only two announcements we didn't know about. Everything. I mean, we didn't know about Ether Knights or Eder Knights or whatever it's called, but like no one was expecting that. And same with Roller Dome or Drome or whatever it is. So like those two games must have been the ones that they expected to carry the show. And I mean, for us, they're a flop. Like nothing, they're not really moving the needle. well, I mean, they are. Like
Street Fighter 6 is huge for a lot of people, for sure.
I know, but I mean, did it look that much different than Street Fighter 5 other than that open world part that looked kind of shitty? And Resident Evil 4 didn't really show enough to really get me interested. I mean, showing like a few distance shots of a guy walking up to a house, like, okay, that's great. There's no combat.
What is this, abandoned?
Yeah, what is this?
Oh,
abandoned?
yeah.
Come on.
That's a whole other thing happening right now.
So I don't know. I mean, and the Final Fantasy 16 trailer obviously was supposed to be big, and can I just say that Creative Business Unit number 3 might be the best company name ever. The best name for that's the team that's making Final Fantasy
really?
16. Creative Business Unit number 3.
Project Triangle Strategy, created by Creative Business Unit 3. It is some really bad branding. Good call. But the PSVR 2 headset and controllers have been released.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
maybe there wasn't much to really, other than giving a date. Maybe this is about all they can give us right now.
Yeah, but like, I mean, for the VR stuff, I mean, the stuff they showed is all existing games.
Yeah, I agree. Like, that's definitely disappointing that they're just showing off like
Stuff they've
games
already announced.
Yeah.
So, overall, it's noodling for me as well, I would say.
All right. Well,
It's saturated.
we got to give the letter grades. I will go first. Brace yourselves. C-.
Whoa. I mean,
As predicted.
I'm giving a C.
Predicted. I gotta go with Frank's lead, C-. I think the Discord, I believe, estimated this or guessed it, whatever you say, and they were bang on. It is not a good one.
No. So for those who say I'm biased, I call them like I see them. This is not a good showing at this point for Sony this year. So I think that's the state of play. I haven't played anything except briefly what Sean's about to talk about. So what is it, Sean? Diablo
Immortal. Which I haven't heard anybody on the Discord talking about this either. So I don't know. It feels like people just don't care because it's a mobile game and they're immediately dismissing it, which is fine. I get it. But I downloaded it, thought I'd check it out. I was just curious, and I got pretty hooked on it. I mean, like there is something about. And just to say up front, it is available on PC as well. I haven't tried the PC version. I've only played it on iOS. I'm a little curious because I feel like the PC version was just something they threw together because they knew people were going to be playing it like with Android emulators and stuff anyway. So I don't know if it's really that different from the mobile version.
Sean, do you know if you can play with a mouse on the PC version? Because that's
one of those things I'm not sure about. It seems possible. Like, I mean, obviously, like playing with the controller on mobile, there's certain, like, you have to hold down right on the D-pad sometimes to bring up a cursor because you have to click on some things. So I feel like a mouse would make sense.
I was expecting, honestly, for your finger to basically be the mouse cursor in the game. Like, just,
oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it made perfect sense.
Well, so I mean, it feels a lot like Diablo 3 to me. Not that I mean, it's been a long time since I played Diablo 3, but like I'm enjoying the game.
At least the mission I played was way more streamlined, right? Like it's like pushing you down a path. Maybe it expands, but there's not a lot of the fog of war effect and stuff like that. I'm curious. I only did one mission. I assume the plan for this game is microtransactions and money, and I don't know how they do that yet. Like, does it time you out? Does it limit how many missions you can do?
Not from what I've seen. And that's the thing, I'm a little bit like reviews I've seen bits and pieces of, a lot of people saying like it's a great game except that it's got free to play crap in it, which kind of ruins it. But I mean, I haven't hit that stuff yet. And I've heard that, I've probably played 5 or 6 hours. I've heard that like at least the first 10 are pretty much like just keep playing and you'll have no problems. So I'm curious what happens after that. But I mean, just in what I've played so far, there's certainly a lot of like menu options and things they're throwing out that I'm like, I don't totally get what this is. I'm assuming this is something they make money from, but I just ignore it and keep going. So like, one example is like there's these dungeons you can go in that are like just kill all the enemies and you get a reward at the end. But if you use some sort of crest or something before you go through the portal, it guarantees you a better reward at the end. And so like these crests, you can either earn them through playing, but you can also just buy them straight up. And so that's one example of something I've seen. But I haven't seen, the kind of like, like you're talking about, Frank, like a timer where it's like, okay, you can't do the next mission unless you pay or you have enough orbs or something like that. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I can't remember what Huck said about Genshin Impact, like how it wasn't it like a currency or something that you earn and
yeah so there's like a bunch of currencies you can buy with real money or earn in game kind of slowly, and you use that to unlock new characters. So I don't know how the character or like
the
where
loot
they're
aspect. The loot aspect of Diablo would seem kind of weird if you can just pay for the best loot in Diablo. Like there is this like discovery aspect to that, and I guess it makes sense what you're saying. You can increase your odds of discovering to some degree, but
yeah. So in Genshin, they have like basically like a pack, and the pack you buy the pack each time with your currency, and it's random what you get. So you could get a character, you could get weapons, and the weapons you get are random. So you could get like a 3-star weapon or a 5-star weapon. So maybe they're going to do something similar.
Yeah. With Diablo Immortal, the touch screen, like the actual analog stick, and you can pretty much like you're touching it like as if it's an analog stick on the screen. That works pretty well. But I find the buttons kind of annoying for actually doing attacks and picking stuff up. I find I really miss just having a mouse pointer, which is weird because I didn't. When I played the console versions, I obviously didn't use a mouse, and I don't remember having issues with that, but the camera's really close as well, right? Like
that's one of the biggest problems, and that's the thing I'm most curious to see if the PC replicates the same kind of viewport as the mobile one, because like I've played the mobile one like on a monitor or on a TV with HDMI out, and it's nice, but it's also still super crowded, like just a lot of text and HUD stuff all over the place. So,
and your character takes up a lot of real estate on screen, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's obviously because it's designed to be played on phones, and you already have limited, like your character's already, this big on the screen. So how do you pull out even further and know what's going on in the game? So yeah, I am curious to know what's different about the PC version. Not curious enough to actually play it and find out. So we'll see if that takes off to some degree. But yeah, I mean, I thought maybe if this is good, I'm taking a dump here and there, I'll fire it up. But
well, it is that for me though. Like it's like being able to like I prefer to play it with controller on a bigger screen if I can, but having the ability to just pull it out of your pocket and play Diablo, like I found the load times were pretty quick, and the quests seem tailor-made to be kind of like shorter quests, so you can do them in like 5-10 minutes.
So
and
I intentionally quit the kind of tutorial quest at 90%, so that I want to see what happens when I resume that. Like how I pick up from where I was. If this, mobile games are designed to be played in small increments, so if it like kind of resets that or doesn't handle that well, like I'm out. I don't know. I'm not going to stick with it. Like who knows how big of a deuce I'm going to drop. Like it could be 1 minute, could be 30 minutes. We don't know. We don't know until we're in there.
Well, I mean, we got to start a game junk clan is what it comes down to. Do some co-op. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like I don't play a lot of these games as a service type games. So there's all this stuff happening, like, things pop up. Oh, there's some event happening. Like, I don't understand. You see other people running around in the world, and I'm like, okay, is this like Elden Ring where it's just kind of like ghosts of other people? Like, can I actually like interact with them? Like, what's going on here? And at first I thought that was the case, but then there was a part where I was fighting some creatures and somebody else came along and they died and I was able to resurrect them. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess we are. Like, I thought they were kind of just in the same location as me, but they were fighting their own instances of monsters and stuff. But I don't know. It seems like there is some collaboration there. And obviously, like, there are raids and there's dungeons where you can specifically say, okay, you're about to go into this dungeon. Do you want to team up with some other people? So there's a lot of that kind of stuff where I don't have enough experience to really know how it compares to other games like that. But I don't know. I'm kind of...
Sean was telling us before, he's 6 hours in. He is absolutely loving Diablo Immortal.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. I think it's better than I expected. And like I said, just having Diablo in your pocket is a pretty cool thing. So I don't know. I'm probably just going to keep playing at least until I hit whatever paywall there is, and then we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun so far.
Cool. All right, anyone else have anything they played?
Nope.
I got one other thing I can quickly mention.
Wait, he's dying. Get it out.
I'm just, I tried that Silt game.
Oh shit, I didn't know that was out.
Yeah, so it's out. There's a demo on the Switch, and I played a bit of the demo just to kind of see what it's like. And I was enjoying it, but a lot of people have been comparing it to like Limbo but underwater, say. And it's kind of this black and white kind of underwater atmospheric puzzle game. But obviously Limbo is a puzzle platformer. There's no platforming. So it's really just a puzzle game from what I've seen. And I guess the one mechanic...
That's why, to me, it's weird that people are comparing it to Limbo, because it's Inside, and Inside had underwater stuff.
That's true. But I guess the thing is, it feels like it doesn't feel very action-y at all. And the one mechanic that I don't know if it was in any of the trailers or anything, but like it seems like it's the core mechanic is you can possess other creatures. So like you can take over, a fish that is like a piranha, and you can like bite things and like break ropes or something, and like, so I've played a little bit of it. I kind of am enjoying it, but I'm also like, I wish there was that action-y thing. I wish there was some of that. Like, it feels a little bit slow when you're moving around, but I'm digging the atmosphere. I might pop on it. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if it even gets reviews. Like, indie games like hardly get reviews anymore from.
Yeah, I've been finding that lately. Like games that I'm interested in, and I'm like, oh, let's check out reviews for it, and it's like nothing, absolutely nothing. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the state of play. We're all disappointed. Hopefully, is there anything big this week?
Yeah, both Xbox and Summer Game Fest are this week, I believe.
This week?
Believe so. I think Xbox is on the Saturday.
Holy,
I think.
cow.
Or no, it's the Sunday at noon.
Well,
Summer Game Fest is Thursday.
Lots to talk about, I'm sure. We didn't even get into the Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay reveals.
Yeah.
Didn't watch it. Should watch it. Apparently people are complaining about that too, that it's a Sonic movie situation. Like, scrap it. So... who knows? But lots to talk about next week. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/GameJunk. Subscribe, like. Let's get those numbers up. Hate subscribe if you want to. Go for it.
Why not? We love hate subscribers.
And then
you can review us too on iTunes or places like that. I think that's still a thing.
the Discord link is on there. Sean is Film Junk on Twitter. Huck is My Angry Commute and Equilibrium Sis. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.